Star Wars. Jon Favreau came to Disney with the Mandalorian idea and 4 written episodes. I mean, look, I've been a proponent of this show. I've been very optimistic about it from the very beginning. And now you see something like this. Here's Disney. They're fumbling around. They can't get out of their own way. They're putting stuff out there like Solo. They're doubling down on The Last Jedi dumpster fire. They give Rian Johnson his own trilogy. They don't know what to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi. They don't know what to do with a Boba Fett movie. They've canceled several other projects in the wake of the Solo failure. And you got a guy like Jon Favreau. He comes knocking on the door after he already does the work. He does half the work. He knocks on the door. He says, "Hey, Disney, I want to do a show. I want to do a Star Wars show. I'm a big fan. I'm a talented guy. I want to produce something for you guys." And they say, "What do you got?" I got The Mandalorian. I want to do a show based off of The Mandalorian. And I have 4 episodes written. Almost half the show I already got written out. I mean, what more can you say about a guy who takes that kind of initiative?
That's what I'm talking about!
How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. I was just about to go to bed, and I saw this story, this little article come up, and I'm like, you know what? Let me bust this out real quick before I go off to sleepy time. And like I said, Star Wars, since Disney has taken over, it's just had so many issues. Really, the Last Jedi broke the fandom, then you ended up with Solo, which failed at the box office, and then the whole back and forth between the fans and the people at Lucasfilm and Disney. It's just really it's been ugly, and the fans have been accused of being sexist and racist and misogynist and chasing Kelly Marie Tran off of social media. I mean, the whole entire fan community. We all organized an effort to do that, going after Daisy Ridley and going after John Boyega. And I mean, look, there's a few people out there who are wild cards, a few bad apples. Obviously, when you have a fandom this big, you can have people out there who act like maniacs. But most of the community that has issues with Star Wars, it's based off of the fact that they fundamentally disagree with some of the choices that have been made for their characters and the stories and where things have gone since Disney has taken over. And it's frustrating because a lot of people thought Star Wars was something that was special, and it was special to them for a very long time, and now they feel that it's become quite ordinary, and there's less to love about it now that there's so much more of it. Again, taking all the expanded universe and basically designating it as non-canon was a kind of a slap in the face to a large portion of the fan community who loved that aspect of the Star Wars mythology. So, Disney has fumbled a lot since they've picked up Star Wars. And, Jon Favreau coming in, you see right here, here's a guy, and I've said, he's a fan, right? He grew up loving Star Wars, and now that he's older, he has it in his power to actually go ahead and be a storyteller and create something that can sit proudly next to the original trilogy, and he can look at through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy that loved Star Wars, who loved the original trilogy, who grew up with this mythology, and probably dreamed of possibly maybe one day by chance having the opportunity to direct Star Wars and be a part of it. And here he is. He takes the bull by the horns, takes his own initiative, and goes off and he writes 4 episodes for a show that he hasn't even approached Disney with the idea to sell them on this Mandalorian series that he wanted to produce. So, I mean, I am just impressed by that type of initiative, that he would go ahead and do that and take his own personal time. He could have been doing other things. He could have spread himself, spread himself over to other projects and, made more money. But these are the types of things. This is a person who didn't get hired and said, okay, I'll write this and I'll figure it out. Like a Ryan Johnson or Benioff and Weiss. Ryan Johnson still isn't. You still have no details on what this guy's doing. All we know is he's not going to be using any legacy characters. It's because they killed them all off at this point. They're all tarnished. They're all dead and buried. They've been thrown into a trash compactor and crushed into oblivion. So there's nothing left for Ryan Johnson to do with him and his buddy Ram, but try to figure out some other way to go in a different direction. And the fans, quite honestly, don't want him playing in that part of the galaxy if he was to do anything. But, as far as it relates to Jon Favreau, he comes in and he's like, look, I got an idea. And from what we've seen so far, it looks like he's paying close attention to the details. He's trying to do callbacks to the original trilogy. It's set shortly after Return of the Jedi, so it's right in that timeline which it should feel very much familiar to fans of the classic trilogy and still the era that we've gotten the best Star Wars out of. So I'm over here on lrmonline.com, and the author of this article is Joseph Jammer Medina. What a name, J. Jammer Medina. I mean, that is badass. I'm jealous of a name like that. So let's get started with this article and zip through it so I can cop some Z's. All right, let's go. This coming November, fans will finally be getting something they've been wanting for years and years. Good Star Wars, a live-action Star Wars TV show. Yes, we've had those animated shows for years now, but to actually have a grounded and gritty live-action take aimed at your more standard Star Wars fan base, that's the stuff we've really been hoping for. But how did it come about? Disney has been working on Disney Plus for a long time now, so you can only imagine they've been hoping to put together something like a live-action Star Wars series. However, as it turns out, executive producer Jon Favreau came to Disney, not the other way around, as he revealed to THR. I wrote 4 of the episodes before I even had a deal. John, you're my hero. Because I wanted to do this, but only if they wanted to do the version that I wanted to do. Integrity. Thank you. What is this? Related Star Wars. Ryan Johnson discusses finding the essence of Star Wars. I have no interest in this. I have more interest in letting Dr. Evazan perform open heart surgery on me with Ponda Baba as his surgical technician than I do reading this stupid article about Ryan Johnson. Anyway, however, as we know, Favreau has been super busy working on The Lion King. So how did he manage to juggle working on those 2 projects? When I was working on Lion King, it was a full-time job for a few of the years, but there was a lot of time when I just had to be available for 3 very focused hours a day. The TV model allowed me to be an executive producer on Mandalorian, which allowed me to, on my own time, write everything. It's a lot like being a chef. You write the menu, you staff up with people who are great at what they do, you oversee and help guide the people who are actually cooking the food, working the line, and then at the end, you plate. And to me that says this is a guy who has an idea. He has a plan of how to execute and go about making something that he has in his mind, his vision, a reality. And I can appreciate that. And when you look at other people who don't even know what the hell they're doing and they have Star Wars dropped in their lap, and you got this guy taking the initiative and he doesn't even have the job yet. I mean, he's basically sitting around writing fan fiction, but he worked on the Clone Wars, so he knows he can get a meeting. The guy does have a resume, but he could have did all that for nothing. So you gotta appreciate that. You have to appreciate that as a fan, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of this from what we've seen so far with them actually building the physical models of the ship and then shooting the plates and compositing and everything like they did with the original trilogy, and some of the props that we've seen on set and just the grittiness to it and everything that they're doing. It just feels good, right? It just feels like the right kind of fit. It feels like good Star Wars, the kind of Star Wars that we want to actually see. So it sounds like it was a project he was able to make happen on his own time, which is the epitome of being a creative in Hollywood these days, especially in TV, where collaboration is even more key than in film itself. on an unrelated note, is anyone else hungry? I don't know about being hungry, but if Jon Favreau is the chef, he's definitely cooking up some marvelous shit that's got my mouth watering. So I'm looking forward to what Chef Favreau is going to be serving up in a few short months. To me, it just feels really good. Every story that I read, it just seems like he's paying attention to the details, and he cares. He's invested in it. This isn't just a paycheck. He understands the responsibility that he has. And when you think of George Lucas showing up on set and giving him advice, you feel like Jon Favreau is taking it to heart. It's sinking in, and he's applying that to what he is working on within the universe that George Lucas created. So I am very much looking forward to The Mandalorian. This, to me, is one of the projects, along with hopefully the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which I guess we'll get confirmation in like hardcore confirmation in a couple days at the D23 Expo, and also the Clone Wars. These are the three projects that I am looking forward to as far as Star Wars is concerned, Disney Star Wars. And it's so funny because years ago I would have never thought something like Star Wars could be done proper justice on the small screen, and it would always should be something that's epic and released in theaters in front of a big audience. And I have next to zero interest of anything that's coming out related to an actual cinematic film experience, which is just, it's kind of sad and it's kind of ironic. But I'll take good Star Wars where I can get good Star Wars, and I hope in my geeky little heart that this ends up being good Star Wars. We will wait and we will see, but we don't have to wait much longer, and I'm very excited about The Mandalorian. So you guys, let me know what you think down below about just Jon Favreau taking the initiative like a man, coming in and doing what needs to be done, and proving himself to get the job, stands up for himself, and says, hey, look, this is why I'm qualified, look what I did, and presents you with something that makes you take notice. I appreciate that. That's a good hard-working dude right there. So how do you feel about Jon Favreau taking this route to actually get the gig? And are you looking forward to The Mandalorian? And hey, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, is there any actual medical procedure that you would let Dr. Evazan perform on you? I mean, let's take open heart surgery off the table. What about, like, I don't know, pulling a tooth, or maybe dislodging a splinter? And would you feel comfortable with Ponda Baba also in the room while all this is going on? Let me know in the comments down below. And if this is your first time here, of course, please consider subscribing to the channel and like the video. It does help with the algorithm, gets more eyes over here onto this channel. As always, guys, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for everything, and I will talk to you guys sometime soon. Until then, be happy, be safe, be healthy. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.